Jay here for Scotty and Motty. That's Scotty and Motty, obviously. And we're here to talk about what we're talking about. Boris?
I believe so. I seen the thumbnail before he'd even told me what we're talking about.
Well, I just thought we might mention it because apparently there's some big vote going on where he could get in a bit of trouble. But I don't know, he's a bit Teflon, isn't he, old Boris Johnson? He seems to get away with everything. So I'm not holding my breath. More importantly, though, how was your weekend? Because what you've been doing?
My weekend was spectacular.
Spectacular?
Mate. Spectacular.
That's
there were fireworks, statement. Rock and roll, shit beer. You know, glass, bucket hats.
Yeah.
It was insane. Nebworth for 2 days, mate.
Nebworth.
Hey. 2 days, though.
2 days?
2 days, mate.
I
got lost.
Life. Did you?
It was like fucking Narnia trying to get out of that place.
Mate.
The wardrobe.
Do you know what? I've not been Nebworth since 1996. Yeah, that was the gig with Oasis. So who was on then? Was obviously Liam Gallagher was on.
Yeah, Liam was on. But I had Kasabian supporting him. And Fat White Family, Paolo Nutini and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't see much of the support acts. I was busy in the VIP tent. So.
Oh, yeah, how the other half live, eh? You've changed, you.
I know.
Wait a minute. No, you've not changed. But the question is, this time, were you invited?
Yes.
Because you always used to have this little thing, you getting into VIP things.
I don't know where this sort of myth comes about that I'm a blagger.
Ever since I've known you, I've seen you, like, this is a guy that's walked into hotels and gone, I'm with the band.
Yeah. Shall I tell them that story?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So a good friend of mine, Mark Dolan, who might be watching, he'll probably catch up later on, when we were about 18, taught me this fantastic jib. Because when the clubs used to shut at 2 o'clock and there was nowhere else to go in Manchester because it was derelict compared to what it was now.
Yeah.
There was nowhere to carry on drinking unless you went down to the Curry Mile or whatever.
Yeah.
So he told me this blag is to work out which bands are playing in the city that night.
Right.
And then try the major hotels.
Right.
And then say you're with the band. And you wouldn't believe how many times I've been in the Midlands just getting absolutely ruined, sat next to people like The Offspring. I met Aha once.
Did you?
Yeah, the Palace. Drinking with them till 4 a.m. And then we used to just like...
So you walked in there and went, I'm with the band. The band was Aha. And everyone was like, yeah, sound.
Yeah, so I'm just a roader.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
And then like the concierge, just like amazing because I was absolutely spanned out of my head.
Right.
And then they still let us walk in, and then obviously you'd need to find a room number to charge it to. I've not got my card on me, mate. You know, the guitarist has got it. Room 262, get big cigars, champagne.
Really?
And obviously someone's getting pissed off in the morning, going like that. Who's been ordering a fucking leg of lamb at bloody 2:30? Do you know what I mean? But it went on for years.
Really?
Honestly, it was
I remember
incredible.
you telling me about this, like your little scam. He's like, oh yeah, do you know what, mate? Just do it. Say you're with the band, but I don't know. I never did that, mate. I don't know if you've got the gift of the gab with that sort of thing, mate. Plus the states I was in when I used to go around town. By 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be staggering through something with the band. Yeah, what band? I don't know.
That one that plays guitars. But it was funny because we met one band one night and I took, remember Nathan? You know my mate Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan's a good lad, apart from his
affiliation with Liverpool Football Club.
Exactly.
We'll not talk about that. He's a decent bloke.
He is.
So we went in there and then we got heavily engrossed. And I think this is when we were talking to Aha. And then Nathan decided that he's a drummer. And then the guy obviously knows about drums, turned around to Nathan and says, so what drums do you play?
No.
And then Nathan goes, I like to make my own. And he's there talking about how he makes his own fucking drums.
You think he is Dion Dublin with his Jube? Hey.
This was pre-Jube.
I make my own.
I make my own drums.
Like you're living in some little village in the middle of Africa or something.
But I do love a good blag, man.
Yeah, no, this is what I mean. Like I've just been rubbish, mate, at blagging. See, I used like back in those days as well. I was too bloody levered. But you've always had that little bit of a gift.
Yeah. So to answer the question, no, I was invited into VIP.
Can you do any name dropping or what?
No, because I won't be invited to the next.
All right, we'll say that we can read between the lines there. We can tell who you was hanging around with.
Say no more then.
So not a bad weekend then, eh?
No, it was great, mate. Honestly, one of the best weekends I've had in about the last 10 years. It was
really?
Honestly, mate, I just loved every minute of it.
That's good, man. It's good to hear, especially when we've all had a tough time of it of late. It seems do you feel like we're back to normal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, do you want to go on a dark note straight? I mean, we might get a bit darker, but yeah, I found it harder getting out of the pandemic than I found going into it, you know.
Right, okay. Right.
You know, it just I don't know mentally. It just
Yeah.
felt like it was easier sort of slipping into doing nothing to coming out and then realising, trying to remember who I was before the pandemic because I got that used to it. And obviously, I mean, I'm not shy about it. I've struggled with mental health issues and stuff, and I found like losing family members, and it just sort of, my head just went west. But I feel now more like I did before the pandemic. But yeah, I struggled, man. Really, really struggled hard.
You know, one of the things I enjoyed about doing this podcast during the pandemic was it helped me having someone to rant to and vent to and chat to. It was a bit therapeutic for me.
It was, mate. It was.
Yeah, because it was difficult, man. You know, I was lucky. I felt sort of fortunate during the lockdown that I was doing the odd podcasts like this, obviously with you, I did stuff with Steve on his channel, Adam McCullough on his, because I wasn't really doing anything at Partygate at the time, because we were sort of we're in between buying it from
limbo.
So we're buying it and owning it, so we weren't doing anything. But I was used to pop up on other people's podcasts, which helped me give me something to do. And also, you don't realise, well, I didn't realise how long I'd spent just constantly working, because I'd been freelance and I'd been a full-time reporter, where I'd leave the house before the kids were up and get home when they were in bed. So you're actually getting to know them a little bit. I know you're very hands-on as a dad, but I wasn't as hands-on as you. I didn't do the school runs. I didn't do the sort of all the stuff in the week. Not because, you know, I didn't want to, but because I was working at the time. My hours were quite long. So spending more time with family and my missus as well, and it was good. But you do feel it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was.
I just felt lost. You know, I just felt like I massively lost myself, and it's great like spending time with the kids and all that was good. But it just feels now sort of coming out of that. You know what it's like? You know when you get in a pool on holiday, and it's not so bad getting in, but getting out and the weather's fucking minging outside, you're like shaking like a shitting dog. That's what the pandemic is. I found a towel now.
Right, okay. Feel like you seem more like yourself anyway.
Yeah, I do feel a bit better, you know.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not right. It's good that you chat about it as well, man, because we've been talking about that sort of thing, haven't we, since we started doing this? Because me and you've always been pretty open about everything.
Yeah, man, nothing to be embarrassed
No,
about.
not at all, man. And I think, you know, from the messages we get and the comments we get on this podcast, a lot of people going through it. And if you are going through it, because, you know, when I say back to normal, it doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong with you struggling. If you're feeling like, you know, I don't mean that's not everyone's reality. A lot of people out there are going like, hang on a minute, Jay, I'm not feeling back to normal at all. If that is the case, do, you know, let us know and get involved in the chat and in the comments.
I've got a good segue.
Go on.
From Nebworth to Downing Street.
Go on.
Right, so the Oasis lyric was the uninvited guest that stays till the end.
Nice.
So the question I put to you, and I'll be idiot, and so you can explain a bit more to the people who aren't aware what.
Don't bank on this being very informative politically.
I've been at parties where people didn't want me, Jay, and I stayed as long as I fucking could. Right, I'll be honest. So what's cracking on? What's happening?
Right, well, and please, right, this is right our show. It's not just mine and his. It's yours
get involved,
as well.
man.
And we, you know, I could fill right on the back of a postage stamp what I know about politics. It's not a lot at all. What we know is Boris Johnson has had his vote of no confidence because members of the Tory party, or the MPs, sorry, in the Tory party have triggered this. But I think he needed 54 people needed to submit a letter or whatever it is to Graham Brady, who's like the head of the 1922 committee. That's happened this morning. Now, I think he needs 180 votes of confidence to stay safe. Anything more than that, I think he could be in trouble. I think the announcement is going to be about 9 o'clock tonight, so we'll find out what's going to happen to him. I mean, we're getting dribs and drabs. There's quite a few. There's a couple of MPs that have come out and said they're going to vote against him, but a lot of the sort of main ones, when I say the main ones, you know, like the usual suspects, the likes of Dominic Raab and Liz Truss, and who's that one that's just trying to get rid of Channel 4, who's off her head?
Nadine Dorries.
Nadine, oh, she's an alright, nana, isn't she? She went on a right rant before on Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt,
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, and she started saying, "Oh, we weren't prepared for the pandemic and all this." I thought, "Oh, that's nice." Just like me. Hey, we didn't know what we were doing, and it's all your fault. Oh, cheers. So yeah, I mean, with Johnson, there was this thing, wasn't there? The Jubilee got booed. Did you see that? The Jubilee sort of. I don't. You won't have seen it because you're away.
I've seen some. I've seen him getting booed in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
democracy, though, isn't it? You're allowed to do that.
Yeah, of course. Well, the new bills go through the Tories. You might not be allowed to do that soon. But yeah, he got booed, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's usually you call Tory supporters, your royalist types." Do you know what I mean? They're usually the ones that would give the Prime Minister a bit of a cheer. It shows that maybe that's an indication that he is losing touch or losing popularity amongst not just sort of left-wing people or very young people, I should say, but also sort of the usual Tory voters. Anyway, these letters have gone in, and it remains to be seen. But I just get the impression with Boris Johnson, that he just, I don't know, man, he always seems a bit Teflon.
We've been here before, and we've not been here before once. Every time it comes up in the paper, Boris is going to lose his job. That's probably been on the paper more than the scandals, to be honest.
Yeah, hasn't it? Because it was like there was the
Partygate mask. You know, I mean, what did it start with? The when he had to go to the Queen and apologise. And that was many moons ago now. 2 years, wasn't it?
Was that not parties? There was one. Was that parties? There was one with parties, wasn't there? There was loads of parties that went on, but at first he kept the narrative.
Proliferation, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. It's a prologue.
Prologue. That was it. Yeah.
I mean, there was all that sort of stuff that went on. Then but when he won the election, he got all the seats, the extra seats that he needed, and it was just had like sort of a vast majority. He thought, okay, he's going to be all right now. He's weathered the storm. He's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's just one thing after. You had all the Dominic Cummings stuff, didn't you? Dominic Cummings obviously was like some jilted lover who kept just leaking stories. Well, not just leaking them, just coming out with him, just saying this is what went on, this is what was going wrong, and this is why you can't trust him and all this other sort of stuff. So you had all that. Then you've gone into this Partygate thing where at first he was denying there was parties, then he was saying if there was parties, I'd be outraged. Then it turns out that there wasn't just parties going on, but he was in them.
Yeah.
Then you had it, wait till the Sue Gray report, and then it was, actually wait till the Met police report. And then it was like, you got to wait for these reports. And then it's like, he's been fine, but it's only this fine, and it's not as bad as this. And I just feel like, I get the impression that Boris Johnson, throughout his life, I just think he's one of them who always seems to end up being okay.
I have with all that considered, I have pure apathy towards it. I just don't, it's just like, what's the point? I understand that people get angry and shit, but when you just sort of, I think Einstein said that, innit? When you bang your head, when you want something to change, don't. I fuck that right up.
No. I think you've nailed it. I think what Einstein said, when you want something to change, I fuck that right up.
Fuck that right up. Well, no, the definition of being insane is trying to do the same thing.
Doing the same thing, expecting different outcomes. Yeah, he had a few like that.
He didn't swear.
No, he didn't.
I like Albert.
Yeah.
He's a geezer, man. I like Albert Einstein.
He's a bit of a dark horse, isn't he? Because you just think this is sort of geeky guy who's just into his physics.
Nah, but he was a rebel, man. Honestly, yeah, proper. Like I think we're going well off on a tangent. We don't have structure on this podcast. But there's a great series on National Geographic Channel you can get on Disney on the life of Albert Einstein. It's brilliant, mate.
Really? So it's not just him in his laboratory looking at physics or whatever.
No, not at all.
Do you know what I mean? Just boring us all to death with experiments.
James Dean in Chords.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Is he a bit of a player?
A player, and he's a bit rebellious against like the system and stuff. Honestly, fought wars and stuff like that. Not they fought wars, but fought against like the rise of Nazis in Germany.
Yeah, didn't he flee Austria?
He like denounced his citizenship and shit like that. Yeah. Mate, it's proper interesting.
Where's that? Disney Plus?
Disney Plus, yeah.
I'll have to give that a go, because when you think of Einstein, you just think of E equals MC squared, and it's some geek, and it's not disrespecting what he did. Obviously, a genius and all that, but it doesn't really interest me, that kind of thing.
No, me neither. I've not got a scientific bone in my body, but I like people's life stories and do interesting things. Anyway, back to the point at hand. I'm going to try and be a bit more of a devil's advocate today.
This is where you look at both sides of the story, or the opposing view to mine.
Well, I'm just going to put you on the spot.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Right,
we can't always agree, can we?
What is the one thing that Boris did right for you? We've got an hour. Can anybody out there give any sort of silver lining in a shitstorm? Anybody?
If you could look at it, and I'm reaching it, I'm reaching very far to try and almost be double your devil's advocate and try and come up with something just for the sake of it. And maybe there is some sort of maybe on some level you deserve some credit for doing the U-turns he did. On some level. Right. On like the Marcus Rashford and the feeding the kids.
But it was forced to.
Yeah, it was forced. Like, again, I'm reaching. I don't really truly believe that. I think he should, it was horrible the way they went about it. But I think, okay, at least he admitted he got this one wrong and did a U-turn. Is there any element there where you go, all right, that's kind of commendable? And I'm struggling to say these words out loud.
That's like being in a club and the bouncer's saying, right, if you don't get out, I'm going to kick your head in.
Yeah. And we've all been there. And then you go, you dickhead, I was leaving anyway. You club shit.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah, I don't want to sniff toilets.
Right,
sniffing them toilets anymore.
So
Sniff toilets.
You don't want to sniff toilets?
I don't want to sniff toilets. I don't want to sniffing them toilets anymore anyway.
It's a whole different fetish.
Yeah, that's different.
Right, next question then.
Go on.
If Boris goes, is it not just a case of getting a like for like?
That is a very good question. And there's a school of thought that, and I will get some of your comments, because loads of comments, and I'm going to get into them in a minute, so don't think I'm ignoring them. I'll start reading through them. There's a school of thought that, at least with Boris Johnson, sometimes, because he wants to be popular, he'll do sort of semi-populist things. Like, he'll try and sort of appeal to the masses.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get someone who doesn't have that sort of, doesn't care about it that much, then you could end up down, another austerity type thing. I know we're in the doghouse anyway, so we might end up with someone worse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just cares even less than Boris does, which is saying something. But I just feel like, that old saying, like, I know it's slightly different, but, let justice be done, but though the heavens fall. If you've done something wrong, you've got to be accountable for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And yes, maybe we'll end up with someone like Dominic Raab, who I think is a pretty distasteful character. So this is the guy that told a nurse, wasn't it, that he was or a teacher or whatever. It was a childish wish list when she said that she wanted, they needed more funding or whatever. This was live on like a debate. So this
He's not very good in live interviews, is he?
It's awful, isn't it? He is awful. And he always seems to try and pick a fight with the interviewer,
yeah,
which I don't think is a good technique, because half the time, he's doing this morning with Victoria Derbyshire, and he was like, I know you're being partisan. And she pulled him up on it. She went, I'm not being partisan. I'm asking you a basic question. Because he was like, the Tories always give you this line, don't they? We got all the big calls right in the pandemic. And she was like, well, you didn't get all the big calls right. Can we just stop saying that? Because, like, look at care homes, for example. Look at the billions wasted on track and trace and the PPE, nurses in bin bags. I mean, she didn't say that bit, but I'm saying it. That's not getting everything right, is it? You can say, we got some things right and we didn't get other things we could have done better on. So, yeah, Dominic Raab, I mean, he could be someone. It looks like Rishi Sunak's lost a little bit of his luster, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah, definitely.
A few months ago, you'd have gone, he's a shoo-in.
Is that fair, though? Because is that not off the back of his wife being, like, mega rich and not paying tax? The thing is that from an outside point of view, it looks very much at, like, picking the lesser of, I don't know, I'm going to up for it 4 or 5, lesser of 4 or 5 evils. I was reading through The Guardian before, and I know that can be
that right-wing
ridiculous
rag.
No, but I mean, the thing about The Guardian, it can go too far the other way, and I like to sometimes, like, try and be a bit more centralist, try and get a rounder view. But the highest that they gave someone out of 10 was 4, I think. And like
really?
4 out of 10.
What's this? Is this the Guardian leadership?
I think 4 or 5 out of 10 was the highest mark that they gave somebody. Let's read some of these comments anyway.
Yeah, go on. Let's get them up.
So,
go on. You can.
So Santa Notch.
Santa Notch. He's a fan of the.
No, I know Santa.
Yeah, he's a good lad. Go on. What's he saying?
He barely did anything right as London Mayor, never mind PM. Remember that bridge that he was building with the park on that never happened? And that was like,
do you know what it is, though, with him? Like, Boris, he does this thing, doesn't he, Boris Johnson? It's like that whole thing of everyone calling him Boris, and he's quite a funny character. People think of him as on, Have I Got News For You, or the UNICEF game, was it, where he rugby tackled that bloke, and it's like, he's always sort of seen as, he's a laughing old Boris, when, there's people actually starving to death because he doesn't know what he's doing. Colin says, Nadine Dorries inspires millions no matter how underqualified you are for a job. If you kiss enough ass, you'll get it. She's like, so pro Boris, it's ridiculous, isn't it? James187 says, bring it on down, lyric. Love it. That was you, wasn't it, with your little segue there. Barged Pold says, I'm an antisocial bugger, so pandemic was okay for me. Didn't have to make up excuses not to do things. James Ferguson says, Scotty, when will your new book be available, brother?
It should be out at the beginning of next year. I think I have to double check the publishers and stuff. But
just got to write it first, haven't you?
Shut up. I'm literally got to do right. Maybe you just finished doing something at uni, aren't you?
Yes.
Right. So I've got 110,000 words. I've got a reference like
110,000.
Yeah. So when that's done,
Jesus wept.
Exactly. Right. Jesus wept.
I did 2,500 and I'm struggling. I'm cramming on the day of the deadline.
You know what I might do? And I hope the publishers aren't watching now. You remember seeing the 24-hour party people when the Happy Monday's got a load of money to go and create an album?
Yeah.
And they just did a fucking...
Well, a drug binge.
No, they did a drug binge, which they came back with just an instrumental, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they said like, right, well, we're not giving you the rest of the songs unless you pay us any more money. So I might say to the publishers and say, listen, I'll do the references once you give me more. I'm not really going to do that.
I've got a way out for you.
Go on then.
Get a book that's really good. that covers a topic that you like, right? So, I don't know, Dave Haslam, Manchester, England, as an example. And say, as Dave Haslam says in Manchester, England, and then just
copy the whole thing.
Like 10,000 words of it. And then end up going with that.
Why didn't you tell me that like fucking 18 months ago when I started, right?
Because if you attribute it to him, you know it's not illegal. So you can do that. There you go,
Good point.
you say.
Right, but yeah, so it'll be out next year, all going.
What's it about, if anyone doesn't know?
It's about Manchester from 1996 to 2002, and not playing on the usual tropes of the Hacienda and Oasis and stuff. It's talking more about how it was really like to live here, not all the sort of cool Britannia shit. Because I mean, me and you both were there. I mean, you feature in the book quite heavily.
Yes, thank you.
Talk about United and drugs and crime, growing up, drinking in parks, nightlife, girls, a lot of girls.
That's not obviously not the bit about me.
Yeah,
no, that's the bit about drinking in parks and drugs. Yeah, that,
there was
United.
a few about you with girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Have I been lying again?
No, so I might be lying, Shwine, because I know your missus is watching.
I'm about to say, even though we're covering 20 years ago, back 12 years before I knew it, I'll still get it in the air now.
But it's funny
what's this
though,
about you and girls?
Because most of the anecdotes is like, how did you discover? I was like rewriting how I found night and day, or someone's boyfriend chased me trying to get off with his girl, and that just happens. That like every anecdote's around surrounding me trying to get off with some girl. I've changed now, man. I'm a changed man.
You're a changed man, thankfully. We all are. But no, I'm looking forward to reading it because you've interviewed quite a few people, haven't you? You've got some good people there.
Yeah, man.
Much
lot of people.
Yeah. So make sure we check that out. Harry Gosling says he shut down Parliament illegally. This is what we talk about with Boris. It's James 187 says, if we're going to list all of Boris Johnson's scandals, this podcast could break records for how long it will be. Ian says, who's a bigger chancer, Scotty or Boris?
I'm going to say me, because I've found myself getting to places that I have no right to be. I think Boris has had a bit of a pedestal, so he's not taking that off me.
I mean, you could argue he blagged his way into number 10 Downing Street, but that's...
But he started, I reckon I could do that. If I got into politics, I reckon I could blag it. With my checkered past and everything.
I think if you had the privileged life that he's had, you could,
easy.
Yeah, because he was like... Eating. And,
all you got to do is go and mock the week.
Yeah.
I work at the BBC. I'm halfway.
You're halfway there already. Do you know what I mean? You practically got 1 foot in 10 Downing Street. You're laughing. Nooney Tunes video says, to be fair, I think I'd rather have Bozo than Jeremy Hunt. Yeah, Jeremy Hunt is someone who obviously went up against Johnson, didn't he? And he's up.
He's got mad hands, him.
Jeremy Hunt?
Don't you think? He's always, like, I don't know, like he's doing...
I interviewed him once.
Do
you know where I interviewed him?
Why?
Where?
Oh, where?
Old Trafford.
Football ground?
Yeah.
Why? What was Jeremy Hunt doing at Old Trafford?
I think he might have been culture secretary at the time.
This is what buzzes my head about politicians. Like,
right, go on.
When you, it's like that's.
I'm checking it. Yeah, he was.
That's Nadine Dorris's job now, isn't it?
Yes.
Or Doris, or whatever you call her.
Doris.
What? It doesn't seem to me that you have to have any qualifications for working in certain areas.
Well, she was. It was only a few months ago that she acted like she just discovered YouTube.
Yeah,
which was really quite frightening for the culture secretary to go. I was chatting to my kids over there, and they said they watched.
That's what I mean. Just because
YouTube,
just because you're an MP, you should have to have a little bit of experience in the sort of the department that you're leading.
You should do, shouldn't you? But you're right.
It's like you at Stretford Paddock, or even here now. Like you swapping roles with Callum.
That'd be disastrous.
This would be offline straight away.
I don't know what would be worse. Callum swapping roles with me on camera or me going... I think there'd be no videos going out.
Yeah.
The videos that did manage to go out would just be him talking about Ipswich, which he wants, you know what I mean? He wants to hear about
Was that where all the prostitutes got killed?
I mean, that's one way of describing Ipswich, yeah. That's not the way I would have done it, but yeah, that's true.
It's got a long A road as well, hasn't it?
A long A road, yeah. I mean, what is Ipswich famous for, Callum? Enlighten us. Ed Sheeran. Oh, fucking, you've lost me already. Ed Sheeran. You got a lot to answer.
Killers and big A rolls.
Ed Sheeran. Oh, I can't do with Ed Sheeran, mate. Yeah, so, yeah, it is one of those where with what's that mean? Good Vibes John just said Dave just made Jay sound like the Escobar of Eccles.
Maybe because you were sniffing the toilets.
Sniffing in the toilets, not sniffing toilets. No, I know what you mean, because like what makes you qualified to be the culture secretary? You think maybe you've got some sort of background in it, you've worked in media or you know, sport or whatever, because he was, I think his official title, which is, I presume is the same title now. It might have changed actually because the Olympics was on. So his title at the time was Secretary of State for Culture, Olympics, Media and Sport. So I presume they took the Olympics out of that because obviously this was ahead of 2012.
And then didn't he go over to be health as well?
Yes.
So that's what I mean. So he doesn't have a field of expertise when you can just go from one department to the other.
That is literally like, you know, I'm going to be, so this week I'm going to manage Manchester United, and next week I'm going to become a singer.
Yeah, it's like going, I'm going to play left back and then go in net the following week.
Exactly. Like
right. So isn't the structure flawed of politicians then in that sense? Because I imagine that's the same with Labour as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I presume so. I mean, Andy Burnham went from, was he Home Secretary to Shadow Health, I think. I mean, loads of MPs.
So it's massively flawed then, yeah.
It is. I mean, I think that the sort of, I mean, I don't know, people can get involved in the comments and let us know what you think. I think the idea is that if you've got someone you trust and you can give them a department to run, they have people in that department who are experts in their field, and they're just overseeing it and running it and being a spokesperson and managing it as a manager on your behalf because you're the Prime Minister or you're the leader of the opposition if it's a shadow
cabinet. Like figureheads for a different...
Yeah, I mean, that I'm guessing that is how it is supposed to work. But you're right, because I think Nadine Dorries has shone a light on it, hasn't she, because of the outrageousness of how inept she is. Like, she just hasn't got a clue about anything to do with media. And her past...
To be fair...
Go on.
To be fair to her,
Go on.
She's probably gone viral more times since she's been culture secretary. Head of culture.
Yeah, like
probably for all the wrong reasons.
How often do you talk about the culture secretary?
She looks angry, man, though, doesn't she?
She's fuming.
Like when she was pissed that morning, when presumably she was drunk one morning.
Yeah, was that on the channel when she was doing the media rounds?
Yeah.
And I almost felt sorry for her a little bit because I thought someone's got to take the microphones off her and stop. Say to her, now, just forget this.
Have a butt and go.
Yeah, like just don't worry about it. Let's go and sleep it off, because she was like, honestly, but she did it out at Parliament where she was doing the media rounds, and she was just like kicking off with people, like kicking off with who's the kid from Channel 4, Christian and Gary Murphy, and it like just having a dig and like just proper angry. Doesn't really know what she's on about. Says these outrageous things, and you think, and also her on Twitter, she's terrible at Twitter, like. Her past on Twitter is shocking. Like she's always deleting tweets because she's always saying things she shouldn't have said. She kicked off. She went after James O'Brien for about 5 years, didn't she? And then she sat in one of the committees saying, "Oh, he came after me," and there's like people couldn't find one tweet he'd done on her, and there was about 500 she'd done about him. It's like she hasn't got a clue really. But yeah, so in answer to your original question, I think you just get promoted wherever they want to put you basically. And who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop him?
So is he going to stay or is he going to go?
I think he'll stay, mate. You
think he'll stay?
Yeah. You say you're apathetic to it, so you're not bothered. If you woke up tomorrow and Dominic Raab was Prime Minister, would you care?
The Conservative...
Well, I'm just putting that name out there. I'm not saying...
Well, I mean, I don't think it changes that much.
Right, okay.
Personally. And I think from my lack of knowledge is that I think that maybe if Johnson goes, then that may make it harder for Labour to get in, because all the sort of things that the Tory government have got wrong during the pandemic will be seen under Johnson's watch, so they get a chance at a clean PR sweep. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it works in their favour. I mean, and that all depends on how strong you think Keir Starmer will get in. And I know your vote of confidence on that one.
Keir Starmer, don't get me started.
Okay,
Jesus wept. So at least with a Tory, you expect to be a Tory.
Should we ask the room? We've got guests. Should we ask the room? Callum.
That's fine. That's a great attitude from the producer.
That was the producer.
I wasn't listening, he just said. So we could have been sat here saying anything, and you just like weren't even listening. Jesus
James
Christ.
Young.
That fucking, you know that clip of that woman from Stevenage? I think Beth Rugby goes up and says, "Do you know who this man is?" And she says, "No idea."
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. James Young is saying, you know that clip where you got the woman from Stevenage and they show her a picture. It's Keir Starmer, is it? And he says, "Do you know who this man is?" And she goes, "I haven't got any idea." That's his. Sasha, what's your thoughts on Keir Starmer?
He just seems a bit shit, really.
He seems a bit shit, really. Yeah, I think that's a very honest analysis of it.
Well, if we're going to read the room, it's not a good sign.
All right, here's one for you then. I found an article you're on about.
Yeah.
Right? So these could be potentially the new Prime Minister. If it goes wrong for Boris Johnson, I don't think it will. Liz Truss, have you heard of her?
No.
Do you know what she does?
No.
Right, okay.
She's an MP, I guess.
Yeah, she is an MP. She's also the Foreign Secretary. Do Jeremy Hunt, do you know what he does?
I don't know what he does anymore. I know what he did.
Yeah, he used to be foreign secretary and health secretary
Mad
and
Ant,
culture
yeah.
secretary. He's had a few jobs, busy.
Jeremy Jazzans.
Yeah, Jeremy Jazz.
Look at his pictures, and he's always got mad hands. That lad.
He looked, when I interviewed him, he looked like someone who'd been bitten by a zombie, but hadn't quite turned yet. You know, a bit like one of them ones. He was quite a scary character, to be honest with you. He's 5 out of 10 here. I think they're giving him rankings. This is the ranking things you say. So Liz Truss got 5 out of 10. Jeremy Hunt got 5 out of 10. Rishi Sunak, you know what he does, don't you?
He's like the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yeah, but you
get points.
You get a point. You can have a point for
Nice
that.
one.
He's 4 out of 10. So he's still in with
right, let's get
shout.
like before you go through them all. There's 2 names that I want to know whether they are or not. Gove and the Victorian lad, the Dickensian Joe bloke.
Yeah,
Moog or whatever it is.
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Mogg, that's
yeah,
the one.
he's a fucking idiot. I mean, even by Tory standards, he's scraping the bottom of the barrel. Goves 2 out of 10. I think these are the chances, aren't they? These are the chances, or the how good they are.
That's their
yeah,
ratings.
the chances of success. So Michael Gove, he's 2 out of 10. It says he said he will not run again, but it cannot be ruled out because he's the one he stabbed him in the back before, hasn't he, Gove? Do you remember when they both stabbed Cameron in the back, and then Gove turned on Johnson?
That during the Brexit thing,
referendum. Yeah.
I always seem to remember politicians, and you might be the same, you might probably read, but more by what they do outside the parliament than what they do in it. I mean, Michael Gove, for me, just like when he was raving in fucking, was it Scotland? In some student parties, like someone bring your dad home, you know, that was a mess. You know.
Have you ever seen him clapping or drinking water? Like, honestly, I'm not exaggerating, right? If you've not, just Google Michael Gove, he claps like that.
Like a seal.
Like, they're like cyborgs trying to be human. All of them. It's like, just do a normal thing. Like, it's not that difficult. It's not that deep. But there's another one of him drinking water, and it's like he's sucking it out of the glass. It's like he's a robot again, being so like drinking that water.
That's a bit
He
worrying.
doesn't know how to do it.
Like, if you don't know how to drink water, but you're being expected to run a country.
It's
basic
is.
stuff. Like, you know, learn to walk before you can run business.
Well, they all went after him when they went after Ed Miliband because he couldn't eat a bacon butter. Do you remember that? He ate a bacon. I mean, to be honest,
This is why
I felt a bit. I wasn't his biggest fan. I felt a bit sorry.
Right, you're allowed to say Michael Gove claps like a seal or Michael Gove drinks water weird, right? I don't expect politicians when they're going back and forth to be doing this sort of schoolyard jibes in the same way they went after what's the name for having Bacardi on
Diane Abbott.
Diane Abbott. I was like, just stop with all of. I like, you're supposed to be set an example, but you know when footballers who aren't role models running a country, when they do something wrong, politicians will use them as scapegoats, but then we'll resort back to playground tactics to take the piss out of each other. If you're a politician and you're targeting someone about how they eat a bacon butter, it's not, you know.
It was. I always felt that Ed Miliband had that little bit about him. Sometimes he struggled just to just do normal things, and I think a few of them.
I mean, he was like the Phil Neville of the
Miliband. Hi, David. Oh, I mean, Ed. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Glad it's you. Glad we've all voted for you. Yeah, you're really good. No, I agree. Diane Abbott, she got it hard as well, didn't she? Like, she got hammered off so many people for so many different things, like getting figures wrong and like you say, drinking a mojito on the tube. And like, there was a couple of times when she did do things that were a bit stupid, but it was.
She's not the exception to the rule.
I felt she had it particularly tough, even from like members of Labour Party. She got it as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
Bob Bates says even the pig's head that pleasured Cameron would turn Boris down at the moment. Wow. Well, there you go. That shows where you're up to. Thoughts on it?
Do you think that really happened?
What? That he stuck his penis in a pig's head?
I've got like.
God knows what goes on with them toffs.
I was out once not long ago, and this guy was proper like sniffed off his face.
Right, pathetic.
Yeah. It's 2022, you know.
Get a grip.
Start running.
That way out in the noughties, mate.
And he's turned round and he said, right, he started going on some Tinder site or a dating site, and he let his mate set up the profile for him.
Right.
And the biog said, would you rather shag a goat and no one knew about it?
I've heard this.
Or
this is
would you rather
what James works for?
Or would you rather? What's the one? Or would you rather not shag a goat?
But everyone thinks you have.
But everyone thinks you have.
Yeah.
But it was honestly like 40 minutes. It was going on.
That's the United we stand question, isn't it?
That's the pickle
Yeah, the United We Stand do that, but they do it with is it a horse?
Horse, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather shag a goat or a horse?
I remember.
I'm making it a bit easy for you.
I remember doing a podcast once in Norway. You know Steve Armstrong, our mutual friend. And
I love Steve
Yeah,
Armstrong.
we were all asked this question. And his answer was, "It depends on the horse." And he started because he's a horse racing fan, and he started naming his horses.
Yeah.
If it was like Red Rum or whatever, yeah, I'd be all up for it. I was like,
I mean, it sort of makes sense. You'd want a thoroughbred and not a donkey. You want like some skank from Blackpool Beach, would you?
yeah.
some flea-ridden.
Yeah, you want someone that's at least come, in the top
Is
three
it,
in the derby or
is it
whatever.
a lady horse? Colin said.
No, you're not getting away that easily, son. Yeah, it's not. That'll be an easy tapping. That no, it's not. It's a stallion, I think, is the correct term. So, what was your answer then to that question?
Oh, mate, my answer was that I'd rather everybody thought I shagged the goat and not shag a goat because I'm quite content with what anyone thinks about me.
Really?
I can sleep with that. I couldn't sleep with the idea of bumming a goat.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Go on, what about you?
It's not often me and you disagree, but we disagree on this one. I can't be walking down the street. Everyone goes, "Yeah, look, there's that lad that slept with that goat." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got to take my lad to a kid's party the weekend. Can you imagine if I rock up and they go, "No, I don't think so."
I've heard your dad's got a great party trick.
Yeah. You're not coming in here. Neither is your dad.
What?
We know about him, so yeah. I'd say.
How about you lot that are watching out there? What would you do?
Let us know with this question that we need answering. Here's one for you. Pecky said, "Did you see the TikTok rap Nadine Dorries did about online safety? I wish I was joking, but sadly it really is out there."
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
It's
It was
bad,
it
isn't
was as bad as you expected it to be.
It was. It's just right. I don't understand this with these people. She must have a team around her that know about social media. She hasn't got a jar of glue, right? I get that, yeah. But surely the people that work for her do know about social media. Surely some of them are under the age of 60 and can go, "This isn't what you do," or "This doesn't work," or "You've used the wrong words here."
Yeah.
Like when she was saying, what was it, downstream movies and all this nonsense. Like someone should go, "Hang on a minute, let's do that again. Here's what you meant to say."
Yeah.
But no one seems to do that. They just
There's
go,
not-
right,
there's-
just post it. Yeah, that's fine.
There doesn't seem to be a Malcolm Tucker in the building, does there?
No, or do you reckon there's a bit of a culture of fear?
Well, you've the experience of the Pretty Patel with the bullying and stuff like that would made you think that there probably is that, and people want to keep the jobs. And it seems that during this sort of pandemic and all the scandals that Boris has gone under, a few people have lost their jobs, haven't they, and taken the bullet for Boris in the past. So yeah, I imagine so.
That was one of the things that the Sue Gray report found, wasn't it? That there was a culture of just being rude to staff as well. Like the cleaners, was it the cleaners? They were rude to the cleaners and just like the sort of the staff. So maybe I'm not saying it, that means that is the reason why she, they don't correct her, but maybe it is. Maybe they're a bit like, if I tell her she's done that wrong, she's going to shout at me or whatever.
Yeah.
It always strikes me as odd that, because I think you must have people around you. I remember interviewing one Tory MP and he was quite rude to his staff. I noticed that when after his staff was telling him about what training he had to get on, and he was like very rude to her. I just thought, you're a bit of a knob.
Does it surprise you though?
Do you know what surprised me about that one? It was at a press event in Manchester. It was at some sort of youth club. And I just thought the press are there, at least pretend to be nice in front of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That was a surprising thing. Not that MPs or that Tory MPs can be rude to the staff or whatever. That's like, I kind of expected that. I thought at least put on the front in front of the press.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend to be nice and then I'll give you a bollocking when we're outside. But it was like, even when you're doing it in front of members of the press, I think, right, you must be horrible.
Zero given.
You must be horrible. Behind closed doors, even worse. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but that was the only sort of... Patrick Cassidy's trying to answer... he's joining in with the point you made about people being given these jobs. Literally the truth, no specialists for jobs that require specialists. MPs have huge teams behind them that cover for them. They get exposed when they get put on the spot. We have seen that, haven't we? We've seen it more, I feel like, under this government than maybe ever before. Like MPs and like cabinet members who just haven't got a clue about their remit.
Is that because we have more access to information nowadays than previously? Because I remember, I think when Tony Blair was coming in, and then all of a sudden you've seen all these reports coming out about Tories like shagging in cupboards and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? But I think there are more channels for information now, and I think that's probably why it's easier. It's like footballers, it's very, very little that people get away with nowadays, like they would do in the past.
What do you mean? What do you mean, like
present company included?
Yeah. Do you mean like we can fact check them? Do you mean like
you can fact check?
we
them,
know more about them because of the online presence they've got?
Yeah, things get leaked. Like your impression of Nadine Dorries is based on her social media as much as it is.
Do you know what? It's a good point because one of my impressions of Nadine Dorries is formed from the clips of her at a select committee going viral.
Yeah.
Where she doesn't know who owns Channel 4.
Yeah.
Her own tweets are used against her. Now, would I be sat at home watching that on the telly 20 years ago? Would I fuck?
What do you be? But that's something else I've been thinking about. Was your life in a better place then? Because I don't remember my parents ever getting pissed off about politicians, and I'm not too sure whether that's because they weren't asked.
Yeah.
But it was never the focus of conversation in the pub, in the house, anything. And it's not like and this is talking about when New Labour got in and stuff. I don't like. It was never sort of. No one seems to be asked. But I think nowadays because it just and it becomes it's heavy, man. It's a heavy weight to carry when you open up social media and you just day in day out.
I think someone in the chat said Moody Manx says get James on. We'll be getting James Young on very soon. Like not this episode, but we'll be back. He'll be back with us soon. He's going to be doing a bit of producing as well. So God help.
Is he
us
really?
Yeah, we're giving him the keys to the kingdom as well. Do you know what I mean? We've got Sasha, we've got James. Just got to get rid of Callum somehow, haven't we? So we're just drafting in anyone, to be honest with you. Aye. I remember when I was a little kid, poll tax riots. My grandma hated Thatcher, that bloody woman, Thatcher. The country did seem to be going a bit tits up. And then under Major, you had all those scandals, the back to basics things. David Mellor, was it David Mellor? The other guy that hung himself by accident. Yeah, there was all that sort of
like
going on.
the sexual asphyxiation.
Yeah, the sexual, yeah. Then when Blair came in, I do feel like up until the Iraq War, everything was all right.
There didn't seem to be as much sort of focus on it as there was.
No, I think from '97, I think there was I felt a sense of euphoria when Blair got in. Misguided, obviously, but there was a sense that because we had so long of the Tories, we had 18 years of the Tories.
Right. But Jay, be honest.
Yeah.
Did that affect your life that you knew at the time?
At the time, for me, all it was for me personally, Blair seemed like a likable person. But it didn't affect me. It didn't like. I was only 17, and it was like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, my life's suddenly better now. It was just a personality thing.
Right, but this is my point.
Major was just, it seemed boring.
But this is my point about the information you're given and how we get it. Is my impression of John Major was based on Spitting Image. And that's because John Major was a great character, and I thought, right, well, we'll go with the colourful guy with big ears.
Yeah.
Can
you remember what his character was in Spitting Image? Can you remember how it was?
No, I
do you remember what they did with him? Do you remember? Yeah, that's what he was grey, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was everyone else's colour.
Yeah.
Spitting Image now is horrible. It's terrible. It's caricatures, and I think it just looks well out of place. But in the 80s and 90s, it was like relatively
it was quite
good
cutting
satire.
edge, wasn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of people bought into it. They even had like a #1, didn't they? But he was grey. He was black and white and grey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And everyone else was in colour, and that was the thing. He was like, eating his peas and all that, just being a proper boring. I remember Tony Blair was like a school kid, one with a big cheesy grin.
Yeah.
Remember that's what he used to.
But that's what I mean. So that was my only interpretation of what politicians were. It was never outside that I was like, don't. I want my football, bag of weed, white lightning, some girls at the weekend. And honestly, and that's that. I reckon I'd have got any out of them, whether Labour or Tories were in charge. And
when did you get to the point then when you started giving a toss? When you started thinking we need to get these lot out and get them lot in?
I think well, it's weird because I think I got involved and then found myself getting really trying to disassociate with it, if that's the right word. Disenfranchised was when the march against the Iraq war and nothing happened. Like if you can get 1 million people to march against the war, it still happened.
Yeah.
Right? And now years later it's agreed that it was the wrong thing to do. No accountability on it. I'm kind of like, it's the fucking point.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's like, what's the point?
It did feel like a watershed moment, didn't it? The Iraq War for everyone.
So I
for
think
a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, and I was more like interested then. But then, as I said, as technology comes on, you can't open up social media now without seeing someone whinging about some politician. And I swear to God, I've tried my hardest to to mute keywords left, right, and centre because it just brings me down, mate. I don't see it changing. Like I said, the question was originally, am I apathetic to who comes after? And I am.
Is that just finally? Is that because of the list of shite that I've just given you of who's going to replace him, or is it just because that's your general feeling?
Well,
anyway?
to be honest, you went David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson. It's not got better.
No.
And I don't know what's the bar's low. Do you know? so what? It takes a while to turn the Titanic round.
It does take a while to turn the Titanic round. You're right. We'll see what happens anyway. If you have to guess, do you think he's going to stay or go?
I think he'll stay, mate.
Yeah,
I think he'll stay.
I think you're right.
Are we touching on the other thing you wanted to talk on, or have we done 45 minutes?
We can. I just wanted to say, and I don't want to get too involved in this, but we had the Heard and Depp verdict, didn't we? And I'm not going to get into all the sort of whether you believe this or the other. What sort of it showed the whole Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard thing was just how sort of vitriolic again. They didn't need to show it, but we saw it, didn't we, on social media?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they were mainly for her, wasn't it? They were going for her on socials. I think I read somewhere that I Stand With Johnny Depp or Justice for Johnny had like 6 billion engagements, whatever. I Stand With Amber Heard was like 22 million. So the vast majority.
Yeah.
And what sort of, not made me laugh, I don't know if that's the right word. I think we've got some of the tweets. If we can pull up some of the tweets here. And obviously she gave a statement after the verdict. You'll see some of the comments and the stuff that was made. I found myself going down a rabbit hole watching this trial on YouTube. I couldn't help myself because it was one of those where you started watching it, you'd end up sitting there for a few hours watching it. So she's given a statement here where she's basically saying, the jury got it wrong. She sort of talks about it like, she's setting the cause of women back, the victims of domestic abuse back and all that sort of thing. But there's a counter argument to that is that she's done that damage because people who don't believe her, who think she's like, obviously the jury didn't, that he was more of a victim. I think we've got some other tweets there as well. We can bring up the other tweets because is there another one that's got the quote as well? Sorry. Yeah, there's that one. Sorry, there's this one here. If you just read that. Yeah.
It took Amber Heard one day to ruin a man's life. It took Johnny Depp 6 years, millions of dollars, witnesses and audio recordings.
So there's that school of thought. And then there's another tweet I saw. And this is I remember hearing this audio. And this is when I thought I can see her losing this. Because I thought the audio was just pretty damning. And I thought the jury might buy into it as well, and they obviously did when she was saying... I mean, the thing is, though, we've seen articles... Since that verdict came out, you can get rid of that, thank you. We've seen articles, there was an article in The Guardian just sort of saying that it was misogyny that got Johnny the verdict. We've seen other commentators saying that Amber Heard's terrible and all this sort of stuff. And it feels like it's become very divisive, and people almost had... Me and you were talking just before we went on air. It's almost like people had those articles ready to go regardless of the result.
Yeah.
Regardless of the verdicts, this is what my opinion is. And none of this evidence even, if you could call it, like a lot of it is evidence, is going to sway me.
When's the last time you saw anyone on social media or in the general public nowadays go like, you know what, actually that changed my opinion?
No.
People will quickly make up their opinion and then will quickly die on a hill depending on, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. The thing that blow my mind about that, as well as the sort of the Rooney and the Vardy case, is that I just don't think that you can get a fair trial in a world where you're airing the footage of what's happening to the general public.
Really?
How can you get 6 billion people supporting? Like every day it was like she's shitting on his bed and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if that's a crime.
It doesn't paint a nice picture of you, but it's not. I don't think it's
some
necessarily
people are
a crime.
into it.
I mean, yeah, I just stick to licking toilets. Pecky, sorry, sniffing on it, not licking.
Wow, you're either gaining followers or losing them.
Yeah, I'm going to lose them later on when I start tweeting about Love Island. Don't you worry about that, my son. Pecky says this. This is really interesting. This is going back to our stuff about the account. But just one thing on the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing. It's quite emotive for a lot of people. And if you have been a victim of abuse and stuff like that, domestic abuse, do think you can chat to someone. I don't think this verdict should have any bearing on you coming forward or whichever.
Oh,
way you
no,
look
not
at it.
at all, no.
So I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is all about this and this is all about that." It's not. Do you know what I mean? And I think we need to remember that and listen to people when they do come forward. Pecky says, I wrote responses to a select committee accountability hearing for an MP on my first day of placement. The MP read my exact answers, no background check, day one. I'd have had some fun with that, mate.
Yeah.
I'd have twisted the truth there. I mean, obviously, I don't want you to torpedo your career. She goes on to say, they go on to say, honestly, I thought I was being tested, but no, that's the actual level of checks in government. So on your first day on a placement, you can be writing responses to a select committee for an MP. There you go. You just sort that out for us. I'm just going to go back to the bar. Scotty, we're going to wrap it up there. Where can people find you? What you up to?
Arcade, ARGH Kid online and stuff.
You look shocked when I put that on, yeah?
I don't like doing all that sort of business. I've been Scotty, that's been Motty. We'll be back on Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday?
Thursday.
We're
back. We're back. Me and you are back on Wednesday, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
On Stretford Paddock. Can we plug that? You're all right with that?
Yeah.
Is
that what you got to?
Whatever, it's up to you.
Right.
We're back on Wednesday. We've got Round Our Way on Wednesday on Stretford Paddock, so make sure you check that out. That'll be live as well, so you can get involved in the chat there. Yeah. And then we'll have another video out on Thursday.
Yeah, top 5 guilty pleasures, which should be very interesting. Well, me and Jay, I mean, you've talked about sniffing toilets and stuff tonight, so use your imagination.
Sniffing
what's coming on that.
Love Island and
but listen,
others.
Get subscribing. Thanks everyone that has. We've gone up like 500 in a week, so tell your friends and your mum and all that and share it. Mums are good for that stuff, even if they don't watch it. Licks, likes and stuff like that. Anyway, right, Jay's off to sniff a toilet and I'm off for another brew. Catch you next week.